All right, so you guys want to know how on earth we managed to do this gravel tour, because we don't look like the kind of people who would survive that kind of mileage. So, how did we do it, Doug?
Well, it was a really well-structured period of absolutely no training, and we were committed to that. Lockdown made for the perfect preparative
Atmosphere.
And I think that we did really well in making sure that we came into riding this Karoo crossing completely undercooked. And now that it's 2 weeks later, I think I'm starting to feel a bit fitter.
It's starting to settle in, like that base fitness, the tour legs, as they call them.
Came in 2 weeks too late, but I'm grateful for tour legs.
Eventually, we'll have to go do it again now.
Exactly.
In 2 days. So we had done a little bit of riding.
Yeah.
Before.
So I would say that it was nothing specific to gravel. To be honest, out of the three of us, Nick Lamond is probably he's the most consistent in riding longer stuff.
And that showed.
He's an absolute beast. But also in saying that, I would say I don't have any particular focus when I go out there and ride. It's to ride my bike and have a good time. And I suppose much like surfing, if the waves are good, then you surf longer. If the riding's going well, you ride for longer. So a lot of trail riding, short 25, 35k stuff, but with lots of climbing, of course, with enduro focus. So anywhere between a minimum of 800 up to 1.5, 1.6 climbing in 25 to 35k. So had the climbing legs, that's for sure.
Yeah, which was nice, which we appreciated, because there was definitely a lot of vertical on that route. Yeah.
Something I think we also underestimated, but we got through.
Yeah, no, we got through. Okay, should we chat about bikes?
Yeah, I think that's the obvious place to start.
Yeah. So, as you would have noticed, Nick Lamond was on his gravel bike, his open up. How much did it weigh?
I think it's sub 10. It's close to 9 kilos. Yeah.
So very lightweight, purpose built for this kind of vibe. He didn't have the slickest of tires on it.
Thankfully, because it would have been even faster.
Yeah. And then we would have had to bring bungee cords and all that sort to compensate for it. Yeah. So Nick tackled this. He is a gravel rider. He's used to that kind of position on the bike. He likes his drop bars. He had put a bit of I think silicone under his grip tape, just to take a bit of padding on the hands, because those roads can get quite corrugated.
I think that's a general note, that if you do have a gravel bike, or at least you've purchased one recently, do some homework on how to set the thing up properly for longer journeys, because you might not really feel it in day 1, day 2. Towards the end, you'll start to feel the contact points for sure, and by day 3 you probably be quite uncomfortable. So make sure you do your homework.
Yeah. We're not experts on gravel bikes. We might have to get Nick Lamond into a
That's why I said you must do your homework. We can't help you.
We don't want to mislead you. Our advice would be to get a mountain bike.
And that's what we rode.
Yeah, which is exactly what Doug and I did. So we opted for a marathon bike setup, both on Cannondale Sculpels, the 2020 models. And so what are the kind of specs that were important on a ride like this? So obviously, in terms of just the whole mountain bike geometry, that's what we're more comfortable with. Saddle, normal flat bars, decent grips, etc. Tires wise, we had standard marathon cross country style tires.
Quick rolling.
Yeah. Racing Ray up front and Racing Ralph at the back. The slicker one at the back.
On yours, yeah. I had Booster, Kenda Booster Pros on mine, which were
both very slick.
Very slick, worked well. Absolutely no complaints there. But I think, without going into too much details on the bikes themselves and how we'd put them all together, it's more about talking to the principle of you don't have to have a gravel bike if you want to go and take on a journey of this nature. Most people in South Africa don't have a gravel bike, and to be honest, we found that towards midway through day 3, we were super grateful to be able to, at the flick of a switch, open up our suspension on the really corrugated stuff and be far more comfortable. If we're out there and racing, yes, perhaps it wouldn't have been the fastest, but the reality is a bike like a Cannondale Sculpel, when locked out, it's a 10 kg bike anyway. It is super rigid and delivers
was phenomenal,
and it delivers incredible acceleration and handling. So if you are a person that has a bike in that category, you've got more than enough bike to get you through something like this.
Stick with what you're comfortable with.
100%.
Basically, is what we'd say. I mean, our friend Luke Dinkel just rode J-Dogg to KZN in 6 days, I think, on his enduro bike. He popped some slick tires on there so it would roll faster, and then just, not that we'd recommend that,
no.
but it goes to show any bike is going to get through that. And it is about what you're comfortable on, what you want to spend that many hours on the saddle riding, essentially.
So another aspect to consider on this is how we prepared for it from a nutrition perspective. All of us relatively experienced when it comes to long distance riding. Nick Lamond, without a doubt, the most experienced. But what we try to do was, for the most part, keep it natural. So we selected simple foods like bananas and potatoes and those types of things. But that being said, there were a few items that I did pop into Discount for and spend a bit of extra cash on, things like effervescent electrolyte tablets, which are lightweight. You know, it isn't huge volume to take in your bag or anything like that, which were a great help. The ones that we used, I think, were Hammer Nutrition, really nice and palatable, not super sweet at all, just you could literally drink it all day. And then from there, looking at little points of top-ups where you might need some stimulation through caffeine and others, looking to do that through either gels or bars. But for the most part, you can, depending on how you attack your day, if your nutrition is correct, then you can almost carry on riding until you need to sleep, realistically. So really do your homework on what works for you there. But our view is that simple foods that your body's used to consuming on a daily basis is going to be the better way to go, especially if you are looking to ride beyond 3 days. Your body can take that highly dense, nutrition-rich stuff for maybe 3 days until your stomach starts to freak out. But anything over 3, we suggest that you go towards natural food.
Yeah, and just consistently fueling throughout the day.
Yeah, if you're experienced, it just comes by default, where you find yourself naturally every half an hour to 45 minutes eating and drinking something. But if you're someone that's just getting into this, it might sound crazy, but literally set up a little notification on your watch or whatever it is, just as a little ping to remind you to drink and to eat.
Because you can forget.
You can forget, and you don't want to get dehydrated and blow, especially if you're doing something like this unassisted, which wasn't the case for us.
Yes, yeah. Thankfully, we did have, well, I mean, it was planned. We had a sport vehicle. We needed our cameraman to get around. And so we decided it was just, we're going to take that opportunity and do it that way and show that it is a rad way to go out and do these journeys. If you don't want to be carrying all your gear on your bike, if that's not your vibe, it's still a great way to explore. You can have your family, your mates in the car, people who don't feel like riding. And that's where we had a lot of our food that we were stuck up with. We'd meet our cameraman along the route, so we could stop and get food. We had all our clothes, etc. for overnight stops in there. But then if you are into the pannier style, carry everything on your bike, you probably know more about that than us, and that's definitely a way that you can do these kind of tours.
Keep your eyes peeled on the channels over the next couple of months, because we do have another adventure plan that will be more unassisted, so to speak. So we'll be able to give you more info there.
I'm now nervous.
Yeah, get nervous. Speaking to the vehicle and family trips, yes, we had a cameraman, but if you've got a family that want to join you on a journey of this nature, the places we stayed, as you saw in the edit, were fantastic. It was super friendly family environments as well. So we recommend, and the idea behind this episode was to showcase that with a support vehicle, your friends and or / your family can join you on an adventure of this nature, and it just makes it so much more well-rounded in that you have a bit more to work with. On the overall 3 days, what was your most valued item of equipment that you thought, if I didn't have this, it would have been a bit more difficult? He's thinking too long. Mine's definitely sunglasses. Eyewear for me played a crucial part in this. Of course, we know that eyewear is important, but when you're out there on long days of this nature, especially on this route where you're starting to get towards Knysna and the gravel roads turn to white, as opposed to your kind of dark reds in the Karoo, the reflection and the glare does get really intense. So for me, the most useful piece of equipment I found was definitely high quality eyewear.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that, and you lent me a pair of glasses, and it definitely helped a lot, because I don't usually ride with them at my own fault. Yeah, I can't think of any equipment, but the food was just like consistently eating. That was crucial for me. I mean, you've seen me downing honey, etc. I generally eat a lot.
And if you got someone on the trip like J-Dogg, take a GPS.
Yes, a map, something.
Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what we did in preparation for this thing. Consistent riding leading up to it with no particular focus, really just enjoying our time on our bikes, making sure that we were on equipment that we were comfortable with, that lended itself to get us through that type of journey. And then, of course, support vehicle makes the experience that much easier from the point of view that you're not having to carry all of your kit. You can slice it and dice it however you wish, but I think the overall point is get out there, whatever bike you have, put in some planning around your nutrition, and for the most part, you'll be good to go. Just don't forget your sunglasses.
Have an adventure. Sweet.
Cool, man.